Good afternoon and welcome to our second catalog launch party video. So today we are all about celebrating the new spring mini catalog that started today, which means I am going to show you new product and some new projects and just give you some ideas for what you might do with some of the things that you'll find in the spring mini catalog. And so this video we are going to talk about mixing and matching products. So we've been given this incredible catalog, which you might also want to call an idea book. And the reason I say an idea book is because the pages are full of card samples and things that you can make with the products in the catalog or that you can make with products you already own. So it's an idea book because it gives you ideas for different layouts, color combinations, all sorts of things that you might do with your stamping products. And so a catalog is a great thing to have in your hands to look through. If you're an in-person paper person, some of you might also enjoy just looking online, which is awesome too. But if you do need a paper catalog, just shoot me a message and I'd be happy to send one out to you if you don't already have a demonstrator. But today, like I said, or this video, I should say, we're going to focus on mixing and matching our products. So I'm going to go ahead and switch it down so I can explain to you what I mean by that. So this morning when we were talking, I started out by telling you about card play, which is going to feature the perennial lavender. So that's our online retreat coming up in a few weeks. And so, you've got this page that has a whole bunch of, products that are meant to coordinate with each other. But what do you do when you only want to use a few things? So I am going to, I got to move this over a little bit. Whoa. There we go. I think that'll help get more of what I'm trying to show you in the picture. Okay, so what do you do when you maybe don't like something in a suite, or you're wondering, well, if I buy this, how will it work with that? So I'm going to show you. So with this particular card, I really wanted to focus on this stamp set, just to give you some ideas of the types of ways that you might see it used in the card play retreat. But also, I really love two of the sentiments here. This one here that says, I know you will get through this, and then big hugs. So I wanted to make a card today using those two, but not using the coordinating dies. So we're going to set the dies aside. I just wanted to show that they go together. And then I am going to flip over. Let's see, I've got markers in here to show you. Oh, and that was pages 22 and 23 if you're looking in your catalog. So flipping over to pages 40 and 41, we have another suite of products. And I told you this morning I was going to use a piece from this Nature Sweetness Designer Series paper. So even though I'm going to use the lavender bundle, I don't have to use, of course, the lavender Designer Series paper. So we're going to use this, and I love the gold foil. Well, I noticed in the catalog, so let me flip over another way. Oh, I just lost my page marker. Okay, just a second. Let me flip. Oh, here we go. On pages 14 and 15, I discovered this gorgeous paper. It also has that kind of gold foil look throughout it. It has one of my favorite colors, which is Pretty Peacock. And then you've got Moody Mauve and very vanilla petal pink, but it's got that gold foil through it. So I thought, well, could we make a card using this paper along with, well, somewhere in the back, that other gold foil paper here, this paper. So this gold foil paper with this gold foil, right? Okay, and then last but not least, since I told you I didn't want to use the postage dies, I wanted to show you also, I love this set of dies. This is on page 28. It's called the Everyday Details dies. Now, I did not purchase the stamp set, but I love the dies. You guys, I love the dies so much. So I'm going to show those to you right now because it's such a small picture. I want you to see these dies up close. And it is a cute stamp set here. I just chose not to get it at this point. But these are the Everyday Details dies. So you have both circles and rectangles along with just some of the lines and designs. But they cut out with little dotted, basically confetti. Kind of like tiny little confetti pieces that come out of here. And then the very middle one, the dots are so close together. It's not quite stitched, but it's real close dots with that one. So we're going to use these dies in our card. Whoa. And see, they're already come crashing off my page. Okay, so that's kind of how we're going to mix and match some of our products today. So let's start with the die cutting. So actually, you know what? We have to cut our card base first because I need a piece that we're going to use off of the card base. We are going to start with a piece of Pretty Peacock paper. It measures 4 1/4 by 11, so half a sheet of paper. Just cut the long way. And we're going to start by scoring it at 5 1/2. So kind of like we're making a regular card base. Okay. So if I now fold this in half, we have a standard size card base. Okay. But first, we're going to cut off half of the front flap. So I'm going to cut it at 2 3/4. So 2 3/4, we're just going to cut that off. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the largest of these dies and I am going to die cut this piece of Pretty Peacock. Now I'm also going to use the next size, let's see here, that size, and I'm going to use, actually I'm just going to use all 3 of these dotted ones. So we'll put our card base aside for right now. I'll come back to the trimming, and we're making a fun fold, but we'll come back to the card base. So I've got Pretty Peacock for this one. For my middle one, I want to use that paper. Where'd the pack go? I wanted to show you this pack of paper. So this is, trying to remind myself the name, Forever Love Specialty Designer Series paper. And you'll see that the top pattern has that gold foil through it. So we've got the flowers, and you've got the peacock and vanilla on the back. Some more gold foil flowers. There we go. That looks really similar to that die cut that we used this morning too. Might be a way to pair those. Different flowers. This is the pattern we're going to use here today. And then a little bit busier flower pattern. Okay, so those are all of the designs in the Forever Love Designer Series paper. So we'll set that aside here. And I will grab, I had a different piece of paper ready to go for this one. And I'm just going to quick cut a strip that I can die cut. So the way that I'm going to figure this out, I need to die cut a piece of the Designer Series paper using this die. So this die is a little more than 2 inches wide. So I'll just start by cutting a 2-inch strip. And then my die is almost 3.5 inches long. So I'm just going to cut this at 3.5 inches. So I can waste as little as possible of my Designer Series paper. So that's for my second die. And then my third one is going to come from just a scrap of basic white. So I've got basic white here. So we'll grab our Stampin' Emboss cutting machine. And I think I've sized these all correctly, that I can put all 3 on the same plate and we can just cut them all at the same time. So we'll start with our pretty peacock here. And then I'll do my, well, I might have to cut my white down a little bit. So we'll put our designer series paper right here. And then, yeah, I'll just trim off a little from my scrap here. Because then I can fit all three on the same plate. Okay, so we'll take that through our machine and get 3 for the price of 1. So we got, there we go. So first we have our large one, and now I can keep this frame and I could use this on a different card. But we've got our large one, and you can see there all the holes. I don't think I have my die brush sitting here. So I'm just gonna quickly just run my pokey tool gently across it and get those extra little, I guess we could call them chads, right? Like voting, like the ballot chads. Okay, most of the holes came out, but a few were still stuck in there. So we've got our first one. And then our designer series paper has the same holes cut in it. It looks like they all came out clean. Tiny little frame, that's really cute. Okay, and then our last one is our basic white. And that one also came out clean. Now you do want to kind of watch when you're using these dies. Some of those little circles have stayed in the die cut. And you're going to want to clean those out sometimes, because when you try to go do the next die cut, it may not cut cleanly all the way through. So once again, I just run my pokey tool across my die cut. You can also use the die brush attachment for this. I just don't have it sitting here. So I just run my pokey tool across it like this, and it also pops them all out. But as you can see, you end up with a whole lot of, we'll call it confetti. So I'm just going to take my scrap paper here, and we're just going to swipe it all onto a piece of scrap paper so I can throw that away. Because if I start crafting on top of it, we're going to have those little holes everywhere. All right, so now we have our 3 pieces. Let's come back to our base. So you remember we started with a 4 1/4 by 11 sheet of paper, and we cut off 2 3/4. Okay, and that's what I used to cut out this die cut. So now to finish our fun fold, we're going to bring it back, and once again off the front flap, we're going to cut off 1 3/8 inches. Let's see here, 1 3/8 inches. Now keep this piece because you're going to need it for the card. So 1 3/8 inches. So what we're left with, we have a piece here, and if I now fold on my score line, we have the front of our card, okay? And so you've got these 2 flaps that are actually the same. The front flap here that's still attached to the card base is the same size as the one you just cut off, okay? Oh, and I put my trimmer away, but we needed to cut one more thing. I need 2 more pieces of designer series paper. So from the Nature Sweetness, we're going to take this gold foil, let's say kind of a flowery design, and we're going to cut 2 pieces measuring 1 1/8 by 4. So I think I'll start with 1 1/8. Let's see here, 1 1/4, 1 1/8. There we go. And I'm not sure how wide this is, so I don't know if I can get 2 out of it, but 1 1/8 by 4. And let's see, is that, oh, perfect. They happen to both be 4 inches. So 1 1/8 by 4, and you need 2 of them. All right, so we will now do some stamping. So I'm gonna take my white die cut, and I'm also gonna take a basic white piece that measures 4 by 5 1/4. I pre-cut my white inserts, so that's why you will rarely see me cutting white inserts on video, because I pre-cut 2 sizes, 4 by 5 1/4 and 3 3/4 by 5. Mostly 3 3/4 by 5 is my favorite size to use, but we're going to go with the slightly larger one for this card. We'll use Pretty Peacock ink. You know what I don't have sitting here is a card, or a block. So let me grab a couple of blocks. I think this one will be long enough, we'll see. And we're gonna do, I Know You Will Get Through This, and Big Hugs. Whoops. All right, so we got Big Hugs, and I Know You Will Get Through This. So I'm gonna stamp the sentiment piece. I'm keeping this horizontal. And I'm just going to stamp that in the middle. And then we'll do Big Hugs on my card insert. And I want to stamp it right in the middle because of how this card design works. Okay. So we will start by putting this piece of white paper inside of our card base. Now, inside of our card base, there's not a whole lot to the front flap here, remember, but we're just going to center this one right here on the back panel. Now, I'm going to go ahead and flip it over just because it's going to be easier to assemble the next step, and that is to take one of these designer series paper strips, and we're going to adhere it to the top flap. Just like that. And then we'll take the other one and we'll adhere it to the loose strip of Pretty Peacock that you have. Oops. There we go. Okay, so now I'll come back here to my card. And we are going to be putting the loose one down at the bottom and the top one. And now for our connector, we will use the die cut. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a strip of tape across the top and bottom of this die cut. And I'm going to make sure that my loose piece of this one here is lined up all the way at the bottom of the card. And I'll hold both of those down and I will just center this right over the card front and tape it. Now I'm gonna make sure that I burnish it well with my finger because I don't want that to come apart. And I'm gonna double check myself. I don't have any adhesive sticking out, but you do wanna open your card and make sure you don't have any adhesive sticking out from behind your die cut. If you do, you know, just try to rub it off with your fingers or wipe it off, you know, because you don't want your card to stick closed. So now we'll add our designer series paper die cut. Let's see. I don't know, I think that might be directional. We'll go this way. And I love how the holes let you see the gold through here, some of the Pretty Peacock, you can see the white through it. So I think that's kind of fun how you can see the different colors through it. And then we're going to add our sentiment tag. We're going to dimensionalize it. I don't want my dimensionals all the way at the corners because of the width of this tag. So I'm just going to put 4 dimensionals, but a little bit in from the edges. Because what you'll notice is here, the edges kind of hang off, and so I want to make sure there's no dimensional that stickiness that's going to come through my die cut. All right. I'm glad you guys are liking the card. And we're going to stick that right here in the middle. Now, you know what I just realized? I never showed you the sample of where we were going with this card. My sample is actually a little bit different. So what I did with the sample, when I cut off that 2 3/4 inch piece of Pretty Peacock, I actually just taped it down instead of die cutting it. So this is kind of showing you how you can mix and match some of these steps. So I just went ahead and immediately adhered that 2 3/4 inch piece. And then I used the larger die cut to cut the designer series paper. And then the die cut. Now for this card, I did embellish with the petal pink and I'm out of them, so I can't show you them. They're petal pink and Pretty Peacock, and they have gold flecks on them. They are my new favorite embellishment, which is why I'm out of them. I'm waiting for my order to come. So instead, we're going to use these other new ones. They're called Iridescent Foil Gems, and they also have kind of a gold look to them. So we can add some of those both to our die cut as well as to the designer series paper. And so this is a way that you can just mix and match your various products and create the look that you want. So super fun to see how the products coordinate with each other. So even if you buy a suite of products, you're not stuck only using them with themselves. You can mix and match them across other suites. So I thought that'd just be kind of fun to show you. And then the fun's not over. There are posts that I've been posting questions on this page, and commenters are going to be entered into a drawing for prizes all day long today. So be sure to check those out. And then tonight at 5 p.m. Central, I have one more video for you with probably my favorite new bundle that's in the catalog. So come on back at 5 p.m. Central and I'll show you another new project. See you then.